Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar yields, precious metals, and commodities and ETFs that I follow. And I'm going to give you my financial opinions amongst all that stuff. If you need any help with anything, check out finding-value.com. We still have that 50% discount code for the month of September. The code is September when you put the discount code in for 50% off the first month. All right, let's dive in. Let's see what the markets are doing today. We've got the dollar here. I've got that kind of rising wedge that generally falls to the downside. And right now it's hanging on by, I don't know what, tooth floss or something going on there. It's barely hanging on. It's right on support. We'll see where this goes over the next few trading sessions. When looking at yields, and there is a relationship between dollar and yields, the dollar is more or less the relationship of monetary tightness versus other currencies' monetary tightness. If we look at the 2-year yield, this thing definitely looks like it wants to try to break to the upside. Now, it's premature to say that we are definitely above this. I mean, we're above it at this moment. It's only a daily candlestick. Let's see what the week finishes out with and we can go from there. But this could potentially break to the upside and really start to move to the upside in terms of yields. The 10 years also looking quite strong and looking like it's breaking out to the upside. Again, I'm not going to say it's just going to rip, but I can tell you this, it sure looks like it's going to rip. The 30-year also playing with that support level, and it looks like it wants to move to the upside. So on all duration, all time frames, they look pretty solid to move to the upside. The TYX TNX ratio, we've kind of squeezed up here. This looks like it's ready to go somewhere fast. Generally, when you get these squeeze ups like we've got going on in this TYX TNX ratio, means that I think we could potentially drop. What does that mean? It means that and again, guys, we could see a big move in yields to the upside, which is the potential. And I could be wrong. Maybe this thing reverses to the other way. We're going to get a big move somewhere with yields very soon, whether it's up or down. That is going to have an impact, or could potentially have an impact, on the pricing of assets and the rotation of money in the system. So we're squeezing up. To me, it looks like we want to break down, which means the yield curve is going to invert further, is what I'm seeing. But again, we don't have clear breaks yet out of these patterns. Let's see what happens this week coming up. Now, bonds, when yields go up, bonds want to crash. They want to go lower. And right now, we are against support. But that doesn't mean that it can't go lower. It just means that you're going lower in basically in a strong support level. So that looks like we could potentially go down in bond prices if yields were to accelerate to the upside. And then the 2 and 10-year, we are at a very interesting spot there as well, because if the yield curve's inverting, it means that we're going to break this to the upside. That also has confluence with a downward falling wedge, which generally breaks to the upside, not the downside. What does this mean? It means that we've got a bunch of people who own bonds that don't want to own bonds, or we were releasing so much debt that the quantity of debt cannot be absorbed by the quantity of buyers, and that yields are going to go up and that the yield curve could still invert. Generally, that's been from inflation and the cycle that we're in. And we very well this could be generated by the cycle as well, the real estate cycle, that is. But again, we need to see strength in housing starts, which they came out and they're a little bit weaker. They're still above average, but they're a little bit weaker. And we need to see that strength. Gold basically moving sideways. I consider that a huge win with yields going up and the yield curve inverting like it has today. Silver also holding steady. Let's see what happens over these next few trading sessions. And then platinum up a little bit today. Again, I'm going to wait and hold my judgment until we see what's coming with yields. XEU to gold ratio, we can see a strong sell-off today. We're still above the trend lines, still above support going across this way. I want to see what yields do. I want to see what happens here. If yields were to launch higher, is this going to break to the downside? And we actually have cheaper XEU to gold pricing. We'll find out in the next few days. The CRB index still moving a little bit higher. This still looks good to go higher, guys. This here is equivalent to interest rates going up. Interest rates going up is going to cause money rotation into commodities. And that is exactly what we are seeing. So we could see a break to the upside yields. We could see more money rotating into commodities, and we could see more pressure in bond selling in terms of pricing over there. CRB index to the S&P 500, we are still seeing outperformance of commodities, and that looks like we've got some good momentum behind it. So let's hope that can continue if you're a commodity investor. GDX down. You can see the kind of the bearish engulfing there. GDXJ is down, bearish engulfing, and a little bit stronger selling pressure in SILJ. I don't think it likes the yields. I don't think it likes all that that's going on with the inverted yield curve. Again, let's wait and see. Let's monitor and see what happens over this next week. We've got crude oil here. It does look like we're getting a little slow in crude oil. And why do I say that? Well, the green army didn't show up these last three candlesticks. It's basically an equal buying selling pressure between buyers and sellers. We could be turning a little bit here in the short term. We've been on a tear, guys. This is a huge move in a very short period of time. So I would expect a pullback to potentially come at some point, and it could come soon. Looking at, I threw in TTF natural gas. We should be looking at this. This looks fantastic for potentially a move higher, depending on where we finish this week out at. We were tearing it up today, up 8.4%, big bullish engulfing. The green army is showing up in this general location down here for Dutch TTF gas. And that's going to link to the Henry Hub. So if we look at Henry Hub here, natural gas at Henry Hub was up 4%, and it's looking good to continue higher. We need to be watching both of these markets because we could see a move to the upside in both Dutch TTF and Henry Hub. The fractal I've got, the blue fractal that's overlaid here, is also another indicator that we could be bottoming and potentially heading higher over this next winter. The weather is going to be, the pricing is going to be highly sensitive to the weather in Europe. So get ready and watch it. Watch TTF, watch Henry Hub. You're a natural gas investor, you need to be watching both of those markets. And we can do that obviously on the channel here. XOP, yeah, you know me. Getting selling pressure here, guys. People are unloading, and this does look like we could pull back in XOP and a lot of the oil and gas exploration production companies. Bearish engulfing here. We're getting the red army to show up, and that generally means that we could potentially head lower. It does not mean that we will crash. It just means that in the short term, we could get a pullback. OIH also getting that bearish engulfing. The sellers are coming out here, and it looks like we could get a pullback. Now, we're up against this line on the long term. There's that long-term line that I drew in there on the monthlies. And again, we could pull back and loop back around again. So just be patient, nothing to worry about. Expect perhaps a little bit of a sell-off in some of these energy service companies over the next week or two, or maybe a little bit longer. We'll see. We have to wait and see how strong that selling pressure is after this candlestick. If the buyers come in and reverse it on up, that means that there's a lot of buying pressure under this and that the sellers are weak. So we're approaching that resistance line, and that's generally when sellers come in, and we're seeing the selling pressure here. And now we need to evaluate how strong that pressure is, and we'll see with the candlesticks and the follow through here. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust also getting a little bit of selling pressure, but more or less still on a tear. Now we're also seeing a little bit of selling pressure in the uranium ETFs. That's a bearish engulfing. So wick at the top, bearish engulfing, This is projected to go lower. Is it time to panic? No, guys, it's never time to panic. If you're going to panic, go sign up to the website and I'll set you straight, okay? We're going to get a little bit of selling pressure here. We need to evaluate what it looks like. So what over the next few days, if this really pummels down, then we know there's a lot of selling pressure there. We know there's an imbalance between the buyers and sellers. If it just kind of comes down with little days like this, it's in the bag, guys. We're going higher. So watch for it. We'll obviously go over this together, and we'll see and evaluate how strong the pullback will be in URA. URNM and URNJ are also the exact same thing as URA, and we're going to see a pullback most likely in the short term, and we'll have to evaluate what it looks like. TAN, a little bit of buying pressure today. Again, I think we're going to tag this down here at about 48 bucks. Be patient. COPX also selling off, but again, we're still in the channel. Let's evaluate what it is. We do have, it looks like a resistance area here, and we've got a support area that continues to move up. So we could see it break to the upside, depending on what copper does. Let's again wait, evaluate, and see what's happening. But we're still overall in a big picture consolidation move. Lithium down a little bit. We're still within the pattern. Nothing to worry about yet. This is a falling wedge. Generally, a falling wedge, you should be looking at this from a bullish mindset. Even though the price in the short term is going down, we should be looking at a potential buying opportunity. Same with REMX. We were down today, 1.63%. We're still in this falling wedge, and let's evaluate it. If this falls to the downside because of external fear, that is a buying opportunity. It's not a selling opportunity, in my opinion. The S&P 500 down a little bit today. We are below the trend line. So again, I'm looking for potential downside if yields were to rocket to the upside. Same with the NASDAQ. Depends on what yields do and how fast yields move. So again, we are in a position where this could fall for both the S&P and NASDAQ. And if the rates were to go and accelerate to the upside, I expect that to happen. Emerging markets still hanging out. hanging out. It's looking at the dollar, looking at yields. Strong yield, strong dollar. This not going to go anywhere. Needs weak dollar and weaker yields. XHB, it's holding on by also a thread here. Again, this looks very bearish at this time in the short term, and I would expect a pullback in home builders, maybe down to this level down here. So yields going up, I think it's going to be a huge drag on the home builders. MU also holding on, and we are still squeezing in this pattern here. We're above two support lines now. We're right above two supports. Copper down, but it bounced off its support. Still squeezing. Iron ore up. Iron ore looks fantastic to, I think, absolutely rip it. We've broken to the upside. It's got that nice green army showing up on the monthlies, small down candlesticks, little bloody noses. They look fantastic. Nickel down. Again, I wouldn't be touching nickel even with your money. It just doesn't look good, guys. Just I would be patient. I don't see green army showing up yet. I don't jump in front of moving trains. Aluminum still squeezing. Looks like we're coming up into the corner here. Again, this could pop at any second. Iron ore is already broken to the upside. I'm not saying that iron ore is related to aluminum, but I would be looking at it from a bullish mindset and waiting for a potential break. Baltic Dry Index ripping it like we thought, and I think we're going to see a massive outperformance of Baltic Dry Index, much trading alongside iron ore, and I think we're going to see the shippers, dry bulk, and stuff go up. Coal futures moving up. Remember, we saw TTF natural gas moving up at 8%. I think we could see a move up in coal. So I would be looking at coal right now and some of the coal companies, if you're interested in coal or natural gas, either one, for potential entry points at some point here. Bitcoin's a little bit higher today. It's moving up, and same with Ethereum, same thing. But again, we are underneath these trend lines on both of them. So I would be very patient here. because you very well, depending on what interest rates do in the overall markets, this very well could tank to the downside. So that's what I've got for today, guys. These yields, I'd watch them. Watch them with me if subscribe or whatever. Um, Yields breaking higher is going to have an impact on how the assets are priced across the board. So that is what we're going to watch. That's what we'll comment on if yields were to break to the upside. And everything energy related, it's still holding on by a thread, but it does look like some of these sectors do want to pull back in the short term and kind of rest before potentially moving higher. So look for some consolidations, look for a little bit of a pullback in some of the energy sectors, it looks like. Let's watch yields here together, and we'll see where we can go from there. Thumb up for the content, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the website with the 50% discount coupon code. September is that coupon code. And we'll catch you guys this weekend at Sunday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is when we have the question and answer session coming up. All right, guys, we'll catch you then. See you later.